Start streaming. Give this a second to get healthy here. Give people a minute to actually see that we're live, because chances are YouTube will wait like a half hour before even sending a notification out, because that's just how YouTube do. Let's go ahead and pop out this chat here. Close this down. Oh, we already got 2 comments. All right, here we go.
That's a solid.
That's a username if I've ever heard one.
Sonk Thong car dive to pee pee in my mouth.
And then this individual says, "Yo, oh, there's our man who tells us to smoke herbs every day." And I always appreciate it because it's important.
Lawn health is important.
Lawn health is so important. It really is, you know. I mean, you got to smoke out everything that is just stifling your grass, you know. And I just really appreciate you saying that every single time, because you know what? It's important. I mean, we're coming into the fall months, but lawn maintenance is still a thing. Okay, let's just be honest with ourselves. Someone says, "What is H4G Gaiden?" Well, why don't we explain what H4G Gaiden is? It's our bi-weekly, every 2 weeks podcast on Sunday. It's our sideshow for H4Games.
I'm not really good enough for the main event.
What are you talking about? You're tons of episodes. but that's true. No. So yeah, H4Games Gaiden is our sideshow. Basically, we take on gaming topics, gaming news, questions from our Patreon supporters, questions from you guys, and it used to be sort of a 1 question per episode sort of deal, but you guys were like, why don't you stream this? And I've used the joke every time, but obviously people don't necessarily know it yet, but people were like, hey, stream it. Why don't you stream it, A, and B, go on Twitch? And we're like, our audience is not on Twitch, so let's do YouTube, but we'll stream it. Hey, here we go. So the great thing is that you get to hear our unfiltered, uncut, crappy first takes of everything. And thank you for still laughing at my joke, even though
I still filter a lot out.
That's
just to get through it.
Just to get through it, yeah, exactly.
And before we get into the main meat of the episode, I just wanted to acknowledge that Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu announced that he is not going to be doing any composing for a while due to health reasons.
Heard about that.
Just cheers to you, man. I don't know if I'd be interested in music if it weren't for your stuff, and I wish you the best.
Absolutely. Definitely a legend. Yeah, it's hard to think of Final Fantasy and not connect the music to it, really. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you can't describe it. Just go listen to some of his music, thank him for his work, do what you need to do, because it's good stuff. So, before we get into our big topic, which is the Mario 64 beta project, and we actually have Pablo Corner with us, who we'll be introducing in a moment. He's diligently waiting for my unmuting of him, but I wanted to go ahead and let everybody know that we're going to be doing a Steam key giveaway. So there's a game called Log Jammers. I've yet to play it, but I have played and reviewed Coffee Crisis, and we've actually have a review on our channel for Coffee Crisis. It's by Mega Cat Studios. They did Coffee Crisis. They also did Log Jammers, and basically they're like an indie studio, and they do both like Steam, and they do like old school NES, SNES, Genesis, like actual like carts and stuff. So the Coffee Crisis game was actually on a cart. I'm gonna go ahead and remove Pablo out of there real quick. But yeah, so basically what this is, think Windjammers, but with logs. It's fast-paced, it's fun. We're gonna be getting a review copy soon to take a look at it. We'll be giving away 3 Steam keys, so you guys can try it yourself. The Steam version is different than the NES version, but they wanted to go ahead and do a couple different versions to sort of showcase the evolution of gaming, as they called it. So this will kind of be an opportunity for you guys to get a free game, and how we're doing this is going to be based on who has the most entertaining comments. Now we have 3 to give away. 3 keys to give away. So the 3 most entertaining comments will be given a Steam key, And what we'll do is we'll let you know when we see the comment that we think it's one of the most entertaining. We'll let one person know in the middle and then 2 at the end, so make sure to stick around.
Just remember that you're competing with smoke weed every day.
Yeah, so yeah.
Bring your A game, because there's already a leader of the pack.
Exactly. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that obviously we... every chat, we definitely appreciate. It helps us keep our, the lights on. We appreciate super chats, but super chatting us is not going to sway our opinion. You can't bribe us for the Steam keys, is basically what I'm saying.
You can't bribe him for the Steam keys.
No, you can't bribe him for the Steam keys.
I can't say anything about my corruptibility.
Yeah, so appreciate the super chats. We love them.
Scotty Beam wants to know what beer we're drinking.
Oh, Richie, why don't you explain
so
that? So
this is Sierra Nevada's Oktoberfest, which we're drinking today because this will probably be our last H4G Gaiden during Oktoberfest, so might as well get it out there. I don't like it as much as some of the German Oktoberfests. Actually, it's not bad. It just doesn't taste like Oktoberfest to me.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than some of the other Oktoberfests I've had, but they're still pretty tasty. I'd drink it, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. As a matter of fact. So a little bit more regarding that contest, just so everybody knows. Once we let you know you are the winner, we will require that you email us, H4Games@gmail.com, with proof that you are, in fact, that is your username. Right? And then we'll go ahead and email you the code for the game.
Can we include, like, usernames? Because I feel like this guy deserves a key.
Well, no, because he didn't. He just went into it doing that. That's like being naturally beautiful. You gotta. We're talking about effort and actually trying here. Are you okay with that?
I don't like effort very much.
I know, but it's just what we got to do. It's just what we got to do.
Oh man, Ocarina of Time is turning 20 in November.
Is it? Oh my god, so we're so old. All right, I'm going to go ahead and...
But that means it's already legal to tap that cart.
Tap that cart. Oh, mercy me. Here we go. All right, so I'm unmuting Pablo. We have Pablo's Corner with us. A bit back, I was talking to an individual, not Pablo actually to start off with, but an individual who's sending me screenshots for a Mario 64 beta project. The official name is the Mario 64... Space World 95 project. Now, sorry, I just wanted to make sure that I got the year right, because I didn't want to say it and then be like, oh, it was 96, or like, it was 94, but it's basically a beta project based off of the Space World 95 trailer, right? So they're trying to mimic what it was pre-release. So just so everybody has kind of an idea of, oh, you might be able to hear my kid in the background. He went, just so everyone has an idea, this is kind of like what it was looking like. So you can see that color palettes are different, HUD is different. A lot of the models that were 3D were 2D, like Power Stars were very 2D. So the health is different up here, right?
That
penguin was just a
really derpy.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's in this trailer, but I think it was the 95, whoopsie, there he goes. It was the 1995 trailer that showed the triple jump.
The trailer isn't even consistent. Like, look right, you've got the power here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of still in that Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah.
And then here it's like a clock.
Yeah.
It's not even consistent with it.
Well, yeah, look at that as a matter of fact, too. Look, it's not colorful here. I never noticed that before, Richie. That's actually a really good point. But, like, it's colorful right here. Where did it go? It's coming up. See?
Yeah.
It's colorful. Then it's... Hang on. Coming up again. Come on, you. The clock dial there, and then I guess the underwater, which is somewhere around here, is the not colorful. Here we go.
Well,
right.
We could be doing this for a while.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of different things. Clearly, they took a bunch of different builds and were just like, hey, let's just make a trailer. But that's, what we're looking at here. So the idea here is to take the aesthetic, take some of the aspects. I think that, for example, the triple jump in the 95 version was different. I know at least when we did our beta quest, we noticed that instead of jump, jump, flipping jump, he did jump, jump, spin, which you can check out our beta quest video. Shameless plug for info on that. But wanted to welcome Pablo. Pablo, are you with us?
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's up, guys?
Hey, thank you so much for joining us, and
yeah, no problem.
Make sure that your levels are good here. Yep, I think we're toasty warm. So, in your own words, I know we kind of went over it ourselves, but tell me a little bit about, first off, what this project is. Secondarily, when did it start? I know that you guys have been working for at least a little while on it, and some of the goals. Just give me the rundown of this.
So basically the purpose of this project is to sort of recreate the demo that was playable in the Shinkai 1995 show, where you were able to go into the castle, play a couple of different levels, and it was like a demo. It was showing what Super Mario 64 was at that time, and we wanted to recreate that experience. And the reason why we specifically chose this demo over like any other build of the game was because there's just simply much more knowledge of like this build in particular. Like we kind of know like practically every stage that's in this build.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, I guess that's just really it.
So
to sort of just give everyone that knows, well, like to give people that weren't there. I mean, especially myself, I was never there. But from all the information that's currently out there, we're trying to like sort of piece together and sort of just recreate this. Recreate the experience for everyone to, I guess, like try out.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your role in the project. Because when we were talking on Discord, I thought this was, particularly interesting for a reason that, like, well, I'll explain in a minute. Tell me a little bit about your role in the project.
Yeah, so so my role in particular is to kind of like oversee like how everyone's doing and to also get like hands-on. Like if I need to like
my son really likes that, by the way. He's screaming your praises in the background. He's like,
he loves. See, even he likes the Mario 64.
Yeah, exactly. What's so funny is because before this, just so the audience knows, we were playing around with the noise that we could help. So like getting rid of like background noise on our end, on Pablo's end, adjusting things, this and that. But there's some noise we can't help, which is just like a kid in the background who needs to go to bed going, you know what I mean? So I do apologize.
Your child loves to raise the roof.
He's raising the roof. He's raising something. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go on about your role.
It's all right. Yeah. So yeah, like if I need to open up Blender to model whatever, or to get Audacity or whatever to do some sounds, which I have done, I'll do that too. Okay. So I'm kind of like both like managing and like sort of like helping out, like hands-on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What type of hands-on stuff do you usually get involved with?
Like sometimes I'll like help out with the modeling, or I'll do like the sound, because like the the beta had completely different sounds for Mario, especially. Like he had a bunch of like placeholder sounds or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So we would have to sort of like find those sounds and like put them back in the game.
Okay.
And like some other sound effects too were pretty different.
In the background.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much what I would do. And we do have some other like talented like modders on project too. Like most of them are like modeling or doing research to like see what was in it, and we're doing all that to recreate the experience.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. My kid's just like
it's okay.
He's not screaming because he's upset. He's like just like oh my god. I try to soundproof this room, but it just doesn't work. But the reason why I was going to mention that I found it so interesting what you did is that we've talked about a lot of different kind of community projects, modding projects in the past, and like mostly Zelda actually. So this is one of our first foray into something that's more Mario oriented in terms of like a community project. But
yeah,
a lot of them really fall apart because of lack of management, right? Because it's just one guy, or it's like a group of guys, and you know, something happens where it's like the one guy has, where's my hand? Here we go. The one guy has like all of the files and nobody else has access. And then the one guy's like, well, you know, college is tough, or like my girlfriend dumped me, or, you know, whatever, you know. And so I'm, you know, so apathetic, you know, and then they're just like, it's gone, I deleted it, you know. So, but I mean, that isn't really more bad management. That's just sort of a bad situation in general. But a lot of times, you know, you have like people who are not, they don't know how to function together, especially on a project that's not, it's not truly, it's a work, but it's not work like you're getting paid, right? So it's like,
it's all volunteer work.
It becomes a difficult situation because I think people can often kind of go astray when it's volunteer work, you know? So it's nice to be able to see a project with a like a structure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason why I said earlier that like it seems like oh well, obviously, like of course it should have a structure, but I mean a lot of these projects, they're labors of love, you know, and a lot of them don't have structure. So when Pablo told me this on Discord, I was like, well, goddamn, you know, like this thing might get done. You know, I was so happy about it.
Maybe we should do some of these fan questions.
Yeah, let's there's been a number of them. Let's jump into those.
Have access to any of the.
Sure. Yeah. Let's dive in.
All right.
Sincerely, Vince has been asking if there's anybody on the project that actually has been to that Space World show and maybe had some hands-on experience with the demo.
I'd probably say no. Probably because we didn't exist yet, or or we weren't in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm 19 years old, so there's no way I would have been able to actually been there.
Right.
Because But
yeah, I think he was just
if I was around, then I totally would have. I would have loved to have gone.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Well, you hear about all these old shows, and it's like it was such a selective group that even got to go. You know?
Yeah, right. It was mostly like press.
Yeah,
that got to go.
So nowadays, it's like, especially in the Zelda modding community, you know, and it's probably the same, you know, for you guys. You know, every time there's a new like half-second snippet of some Zelda 64 beta footage, like recorded with a VHS camcorder off of a CRT television at a trade show, like people lose their minds because they're like, oh my god, like, you know, the Temple of Time originally, when you went into the courtyard, it was mirrored like it is in the Master Quest version of 3D. Oh,
yeah.
You know,
so I think I found some rust on the Master Sword.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like, you know, there are these little snippets. You know, we wish we were there. I mean, like, to be one of the guys that played the Earthbound 64 demo. You know, you have like maybe like 100 people in the world, you know, that did it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into some more of these questions here. Rich, did you see anything else that you wanted to?
There was another. I feel like there was another.
Okay, how will you be able to do the stages only from the videos that show only parts of the total? So I guess that means both the stages that you don't see and the parts of the stage that you don't see. Is there? I'm assuming there's some creative license and imagination going into that.
Yeah. So this was something that I've been thinking about, like, I guess ever since we started doing this, because I'd say for most of the levels, like, you've pretty much seen everything, like, to it. But there's some other levels where it's like, oh, there's not enough footage of this, so it's like we kind of have to figure out a way to get around that issue. Like I would say the level we're gonna have the most challenge with is the snow level, or the, you know, what eventually became Cool Mountain, because it's like the only extensive footage of it. Like, you can see a lot of the level, but there's also a lot of it that you don't see, so that's gonna be a little difficult. And we're definitely gonna have to put a lot of like creative liberties into like sort of imagining what it could have been like. And that's something we'll eventually figure out when we cross that bridge.
Okay. Now, I had a question for you I was thinking about the other day, because I remember when I played the Mario 64 remake for the DS, you know, they had really, it was a great remake. They really expanded on it. They added new playable characters. They added new levels. They, you know, they did all this stuff. And there was a theory going around at the time. I don't know if it's been debunked since then, but, you know, they said that it was possible that, you know, some of these levels were originally cut content, and that they brought them back. Or, of course, that could be totally wrong, and it was just all completely new stuff that they brought in, you know, because they wanted to expand on the DS version. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think that, I don't know if you played the DS version, but have you heard that theory? Do you think that some of that stuff might be cut content? If so, is there any way that you think about utilizing it, or are you strictly sticking to trailer footage?
At this current moment, we've been mostly sticking to like just whatever we saw in the trailers or videos of that particular demo. I mean, if there was any like cut content that like, actually there is some cut content that was also used in the demo. Like for example, some dialogue that was, or like for example, one thing I can think of is the in the demo when you press the start button, you'll see like a text box that's kind of like a stage select screen, and you're able to like choose like a level you want to go to. That's actually still in the Japanese, like the final release of the Japanese version of Super Mario 64.
Huh. Yeah, I think it's actually still in the
yeah.
Like there's a debug menu where you can choose your levels, and like what we showed in our beta restoration as well. You just type in a code, and it has like that early screenshot, or the early not screenshot, the early splash screen when you load it up, which is the same splash screen they used for the Mario 64 N64 disc drive.
That the memory's coming back.
Yeah, because it was just like that plain flat, and then they just had the sort of flatter looking, which is interesting that they took that beta version and used it for the N64 disc drive version as well. But I guess they're just like, oh, we have this on file. I suppose we'll just use
we might as well use it.
So I have a question for you from Melon Speedruns. Actually, funny thing is, oh boy, do you know Melon?
Yeah, I do know Melon.
Oh man, he's intimidated. Oh man, Melon's a heavy hitter, man. You better answer this right.
All right,
I'm just kidding.
Bring it on.
Watermelons are large fruit.
They are large fruits, but you don't know if he's a
like
watermelon, although it seems like he is. So, Watermelon Speedruns. We actually asked a question on our Discord that I'll be getting to later, as a matter of fact. He says, so Pablo, I've got a question for you. How do you think this project will differentiate itself from other beta restorations, not just related to Super Mario 64, but for other games like Ocarina of Time?
Honestly, I can't really say that, like, I don't even know how to answer. Like, honestly, like, I can at least say within, like, beta restorations made for this particular one, like, you know, for the Shoshinkai or just any beta version, like, and I was actually going to get to this, like, there's been a lot of other attempts before to, like, make the beta. And I'd say the most notable one was from Duda. His name was Duda. And he posted a lot of, like, video previews back, like, I think in 2012, right?
I think I remember that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I remember something akin to that. That's probably the same thing.
Yeah. So, like, but if you go to his channel now, it's like he really hasn't, like, uploaded much since. And I'm not saying that the project is dead or whatever.
It's
probably it's like dead. we haven't really gotten any, you know, updates since. Like, some people have said that he's still working on it, or, you know, but, like, we don't really know for sure until he makes a new video. But in the meantime, you know, it's like, hey, like, you know, like, I was talking to Mario Nova, and I was like, you know, hey, like, you know, why don't we give it a shot? Why don't we try to make our own version of it? And, like, at first, when when it was just the two of us, like, we were originally going to go for, like, a more stylized version of it that, like, sort of balanced the aesthetic and the accuracy, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And once we merged our project with another group of people that were also working on it, we decided to mainly just make it, like, just based on how accurate it looked.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, sorry if that doesn't necessarily answer the question, but I guess that would be our difference in, I guess, how other people have tried it.
Yeah, and I would say that that's a significant difference, because I can't think of any, like, with like all of the Ocarina of Time stuff we've done with, like, beta questing and things like that. Most of the projects have been, like, trying to recreate an unreleased project, as opposed
like
to trying to, like,
roll
the clock back to an earlier
a lot of
build almost.
Yeah, some of the newer ones, like Chris Cube and Melon, are working on one that is, like, very alpha build oriented. But you're right, a lot of the ones before that were like, okay, here's a like Aeroblast did a number of them that were, like, really well designed. That was like, okay, here's a dungeon that we think could have been in Zelda, you know, and I'm gonna just build out this dungeon, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both, but
yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, Mario Nova 64 is here. So I was going to go ahead and go over some of the screenshots. Oh, man, my son must be hungry or something.
We need like a script that every time it hears your baby crying,
Yeah.
the audio in the video is replaced with Mario crying from Super Mario World 2.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think. Yeah. By the way, he is being watched. My wife is out there. He's not just like he's almost 2, but he is being he is being watched. Okay, so I was gonna go over some of these screenshots that were sent over to me here.
Just let me know which one you're looking at, so I can see what you're looking at.
Yeah, so Mario Nova sent this over to me, which is another individual working on the project. Let's start with the one that I labeled 1.
Okay.
That's always a fine place to start.
Oopsie.
All right.
Looks like I actually need to put you in a different spot here. Pardon me. Scoot you over here. Your little icon. Perfect.
Yeah. That actually worked out amazingly well.
Yeah, that actually was smoother than expected. So what you're seeing here is not the trailer that we showed earlier. This is their work so far. So obviously we have Mario. We have a different HUD. The Power Star looks different. Just kind of walk us through. Tell me what I'm looking at here. Tell us what we're looking at here.
All right. So basically, what you're looking at is, well, this is after Mario beats Bowser in the the only Bowser fight, because there was only one. And instead of like getting like a key to go to the basement or wherever, you just get a giant star. And in that version, a bunch of coins would like sort of appear. And actually, if you look really closely in the final game, when Bowser when he blows up, like you'll see a bunch of like coins actually like kind of like exploding, but like you don't really see them on the floor. What I'm thinking was that was sort of like a remnant of that feature.
Oh,
that was,
okay.
I'll have to check that out the next time I
demo.
punch Bowser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Punching Bowser sounds like sort of like a masturbatory thing. Gotta go home, punch Bowser.
You've been ruined by all the Bowsette memes. Tony.
Yeah, exactly, right? Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so that's basically what this is. You're just, Mario beats Bowser, gets the star. Ooh.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like, and we're going to get to some of these later ones too. I kind of like the color palette a lot.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and switch over to the one that I creatively titled Number 2.
Damn.
Now,
you're a fountain of creativity, Tony.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Now, this image here is like modeled after like sort of has a direct correlation to the trailer, because there's like a moment where he's looking up at these thwomps and it's like this exact angle, this low angle he's the camera's punched in, that kind of thing. Tell us what we're looking at here.
All right, so this screenshot is actually a recreation of one of the shots from the Super Mario 64 like one of the early trailers for the game, where like Mario's like in first person and he's just looking up at the thwomp. Like when we were making these screenshots, we wanted to sort of like also we wanted to recreate these specific moments from those trailers to sort of to show how close they kind of are to those trailers.
I think it was sort of an iconic. I mean, it's not really like an iconic moment, but I think that like a lot of people remember this part of the trailer. I guess
if you're watching the trailers, you'll definitely remember that specific moment.
Okay, let's go crazy and go to the one that I labeled Number 3.
Oh man,
right.
you seem to have figured out Tony's complex cryptography.
Yeah, exactly. So this is obviously a lava level. I think this is the one that's in the basement. But kind of similar here. Your different HUD. Is there anything that you can tell us about this?
All right, so this screenshot is from the it's the early version of Lethal Lava Land, also known as Fire Bubble in the demo. And I mean, you just see Mario running through the I guess there's not anything too special about the photo other than it's just a recreation of Fire Bubble.
Perfect. That's good enough. Let's bounce around here real quick, because there's one that I wanted to talk about in particular here. Okay, so here's
sure thing. We're going to number 4.
Oh, I'm going crazy here.
All right.
Losing my mind.
And everybody watching this video is like, why do you tease me with these images, Tony?
So, okay, here we go. Make a little adjustment here. Okay, so we're going on to number 8 here.
Number 8,
in,
okay.
In the lava level, he just gets a star. I
Right.
love the color here. But
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that. I know it was in the trailer, but because it's like that old VHS footage, like it isn't vibrant. But then when you guys do it, it's like it looks really nice and pastel and
Yeah. They seem to like use a lot of pastel colors. It kind of look like for this aesthetic, it kind of looks really cool.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to implement that into the into this project as well. And if you notice, you can see that the star is a 2D sprite.
Yep.
And I'm assuming they did that because it was just easier to do that at the time. But they were eventually able to get like a 3D star. But I mean, at the time, it looked pretty nice.
Yeah. And
like, anyone's really saw the difference because the TVs were, not as sharp.
And a lot of the 2D stuff on the N64 holds up a lot better than the 3D stuff, anyways.
Yeah.
Although Mario 64 has always been, unlike the Zelda titles that try to cram a lot in, Mario's always been simpler and cleaner aesthetic. So I think it holds up well regardless. But yeah, I just it's weird because I was thinking earlier. I was talking to you about this, Richie, where it was like I almost felt that a lot of the color scheme in this earlier content was more reminiscent of how they would color an SNES Mario game. And then it's just like sort of vibrant and pretty and like pastel and whatever, right? You think like Mario World too. But then I think like they almost kind of like went through it and was like, no, this is 3D.
Right.
Like, change
Gotta look
this.
realistic.
Yeah, like let's have a really realistic, gritty Mario, game.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that the power stars look realistic. Otherwise, you just lose the audience.
You lose the audience. Richard,
Yeah.
would you mind diving into the comments, see if there's anything here? Either a candidate for the Log Jammers, and for those of you that are just tuning in, we are doing a Log Jammers Steam key giveaway.
Well, Mike G is on the nose here. Mr. Ponytail back there def jammed a couple logs in his past.
Ooh.
Well, I can't confirm or deny that,
Ooh.
but
Is that a candidate for
it might be a candidate. I'm just happy because we were waiting for somebody to take the low-hanging fruit with the log jammers.
Which what was the screen name on that?
Mike G.
Mike G. So anyways, we were doing a
there should have been a Sonic game for Saturn, but Sonic R and Sonic Jam.
That's true. Unrelated, but yes. Yeah, so,
I think there was a little bit of a chat conversation
okay.
going on about that.
Well, good. Chat amongst yourselves. Just to remind everybody, because I was kind of got interrupted myself there, we're doing a Log Jammers by Megacat Studio. If you remember our Coffee Crisis review, this is the same studio. It's basically Windjammers with logs, fast-paced. There's an NES version and a Steam version. They're doing a Kickstarter right now to get funding for the console versions, and we're giving away 3 keys. So best comments... will be that, and we're not going to allow any. We love super chats. We love them. Give them to us. Oh, thank you. But those will not be affecting our decision in terms of.
Again, I clarify they won't be affecting Tony's decision.
Them super chats.
Victor Hale asks, if it turned out that stages encoding from the DS version were cut content, would you use them, or would you reimagine them as new stages with cut content?
So basically, like what we're doing here for this, like for this particular project, is we're remaking what was only on that Shoshinkai demo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
because if we were to basically if we were to try to recreate every single thing that was in every single beta build, like I think it would be a lot more difficult to do because it's like there's a lot of clips where it's like you see stages where it's like you don't know what's what else is in it, right? Because it's like you see a shot of one particular area, but it's like. There's no other footage of that area, so you don't really know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even know where to make it fit. So.
Yeah, because I mean, you kind of get to the point where you almost try to do too much. You already have a large project on your hands, and it's like you don't want to kill yourself by just doing all of this stuff. That said, I do remember so for example those much skinnier penguins, right?
Yeah, they look pretty different.
Yeah, definitely. They're one of the more shocking. Shocking aspects of it.
They also look like they look like they hate their lives.
Yeah, they do, and they probably because Mario keeps murdering their children. Obviously,
that's a really fair point.
That is a fair point.
I think Nintendo might have oversimplified the game and cut out some, moral themes. Really,
that's right. Just off the mountain. So I guess what I was going to say was around that time in Nintendo Power and other publications, they were showcasing screenshots from that trailer and from that era, like the penguins and such, But I don't know, just because I haven't done the research myself, if there is other content that maybe they showed screenshots of that they didn't show in the trailer. If those did exist and you could confirm they are from the same era, would you consider utilizing them as reference or just the trailer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if it's from that exact build, like, sure, I'll use it. So, actually, speaking of, there was this one particular video that was on YouTube that was a really big help, and it wasn't from Nintendo or like from any like news like people. It was actually from somebody or with the username Game Zero, and they recorded like really long footage of just people playing the demo.
Okay.
And that's been a really big help because we've seen a lot of things that weren't really in the trailers or weren't shown like as much.
Okay.
Like, for example, a lot of this like information, or not information, but like the majority of how we know like how the snow level looks came from that particular video because he recorded footage of people playing that level.
That's all. It was just
so
like
it was a really big help
with Ocarina of Time earlier. You know, like we're just so thirsty for just like the little snippet of VHS, you know, on like a CRT. Actually, do me a favor. On Discord later, send me a link to that video. I'm not sure if I've seen that. I know I've seen the trailer quite a bit, but I can't recall if I've seen that or not. I might have. What's that?
Look it up now if you want.
Oh, sure.
I want to bring up this point that is pretty cool trivia that I was not aware of, courtesy of Nick Infante, where he is saying that before Charles Martinet was chosen to voice Mario, they used archival recordings of Mel Blanc to do Mario noises. So I don't know if that's true or
false.
It is.
That is true.
Wow.
Yeah, not all of the voices are from Mel Blanc, but some of them are. Like, and you can kind of tell just kind of by how it sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Mel Blanc was pretty distinctive.
Big
yeah,
news.
like you can recognize. Yeah, you can recognize when it's Mel Blanc.
Very good news for everybody. Melon Speedrun says, "I'm satisfied with the answer that you gave
for the question that you were asked like a
the
half
question
hour
that
ago."
He asked. Yeah,
that's good stuff.
That's good for me too because I didn't know if that was satisfying.
It's always good stuff.
Somebody asked for a shirt to be removed.
Game Over Jesse asked for you to remove your coat.
I can't do that. I can jack it off though. I can.
Yeah, jack it off. Go ahead, take the jacket off.
I'll jack it off.
Yeah.
I don't have a camera, so I'm good. I mean, I could do it, but then no one will see it. So
yeah,
fair loss.
Let's see here. Okay, so I guess the real question here's the real meat and potatoes of the interview here is that Richie noticed there were like 3 different versions of the health meter.
Yep.
Which one are you going to choose? And then it kind of creates this Pandora's box of like probably they were all slightly different builds. I mean, just ever so slightly, just hodgepodged into one just so haphazardly because they're like, I don't know, whatever. Which one are you going to use? Do you know yet?
Yeah, we're going to be using the one that was in the demo, which was the one with the arrow.
Okay.
I believe.
The one that kind of spins like a clock?
Yes, we're going to be using that one.
That one is probably the most dynamic.
That one, yeah, and it's also the most like recognizable one too. Okay. Like you'll see that health icon, it's like, oh yeah, that's the beta.
Yeah.
Health meter from Mario 64.
And then I'm a sucker for music, and we just got a question in here from Glitchtastic Games. Will you guys be recreating the music? I think there's some differences in the beta.
Yes. Well, let me answer that in a more specific way. Like, yes, in a sense that, I mean, the music is mostly the same thing. But there's like some slight little differences. Like I think the drums sound a little different.
Okay.
So I might be replacing some of the samples, like the percussion samples a little bit, so it kind of sounds like closer to that. And the more particularly the Bob-omb's Battlefield music like sounded just a tiny bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna increase the tempo on that. But other than that, there's not gonna be too much music replacements because there's not really much of a need to do that. Because it just kind of sounds the same.
Just out of curiosity, have you listened to the N64 DD Mario 64 music?
Yes, I have.
So it has,
I know that the castle music sounds a little different because of the strings.
Yeah, it's honestly,
sounds a little weird.
It's mostly just it has a more dynamic range. So it's like if you look at the levels in Mario 64, they're kind of like if this is the like left and right or vice versa, they're kind of like this. And in the DD version, they're like they're bouncing around more. So like it has better stereo separation, which is kind of neat. Some people prefer the original. Some people prefer that. It's literally just a, I think the way it was explained to me by, I think it was Luigi Claude, was that it was just a different version of their like sound software. And that like, literally was it.
And I mean, you hear that a lot, like over the course of a lot of the lifespans of the systems that had synthesizer bases for their sound chip. Like the early Nintendo music doesn't sound exactly like the stuff later on just because they programmed the synths a little bit differently, you know?
Yeah. So let's actually go ahead and jump over to image number 9. This looks to be before he goes on to the slide here. You got the start. You have the different HUD, and of course you sort of have this.
It's definitely a different track.
Yeah, like even if it is the same track, it's like a different looking beginning.
Yeah, it's Bob Bob's Battlefield song, I believe, that they used.
What can you tell us about this image here?
All right, so about this particular slide, like we all know that this slide was eventually used for TellTale Mountain. But in the Shoshinkai demo, and I'm assuming the rest of the beta builds, like this was the slide for Cool Mountain, or I guess just Snowland or whatever it was called. But it was actually a little different because I believe in the beta version there was no like fake out, or like it wasn't trying to trick you to like falling to your death or whatever. Like it was just like straightforward. It was like, you know, you slide through it, you have fun. That's really the biggest difference I could like get from this. Otherwise, aesthetically, it kind of looks the same.
Okay.
That's pretty much all I can say about that.
Just neat little adjustments here.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like when you're looking at these screenshots, you can definitely like feel like a different like aura. Like it's like, oh, this doesn't feel like the final game. This feels like an earlier build.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Even though it is a ROM hack, like you still feel that it's like earlier.
For
like
sure.
Earlier build of it.
So what are some of your goals in terms of? Are you hoping to eventually make this public? Do you have?
Yes.
Okay, well there you go. Do you have? I know this is always the tough one that I'm going to ask you here, but you know, and it's never going to be what you initially say. So obviously, don't quote him on this. But what is your goal in terms of an ETA for a playable demo, even if it isn't complete yet?
All right. Well, actually, this is probably the easiest one I can answer.
Oh, well, that's good.
One goal is actually finishing it.
Well, yeah, but when?
Because and no offense to anyone else that tried doing this, but most of the time when they did it, they never really finished it.
Yeah,
per se, or they just kind of got.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do.
Bored of it, or,
you know.
Yeah, they either got bored of it, or you know, real life kicked in and they couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely one of my goals is actually like finishing the project and releasing it publicly. You know, because you know, like every other attempt we've seen, like they do something, but they don't finish it, and it's a shame, really. It is.
Yeah.
But
so
what
would your estimation be? Do you think like a year? Do you think 2 years? Do you think 6 months? Like what is
estimation?
Yeah, in terms of like an estimated time of arrival, like an ETA.
My safe bet would maybe be by like a year.
Okay.
Maybe even earlier. Who knows? Depending on, because it's not a whole lot. It's just, you know, it's mostly the same, but just very aesthetically different.
Yeah, because I've been talking back and forth originally with Mario
and functionality
Nova.
too, actually.
And when I was talking to Mario Nova, I was like, "So do you have a playable demo? No. Do you have a playable demo? No. Do you have a playable demo? No." And I'm like, "This looks great. I want to talk about it in some capacity. Like, can I show the screenshots, like during a podcast or something?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I think that's, you know. And again, don't quote him, you know, for the audience here. Don't quote Pablo on that release date. It's not a hard release date because stuff happens.
It's not a hard.
You know?
It's like
this is just a goal.
We may
it's
have
not
it
a hard
done.
for games date.
It's not a hard for games date. Yes.
Now this question has come up a couple times now from a few different fans. Do you worry about cease and desists from Nintendo?
Do I worry about cease and desist? Honestly, no, I don't. Mainly because we've been kind of keeping this project under wraps. Like, we haven't really talked about it that much.
Right.
I mean, this is really the only one time that I've actually, like, publicly, like, just, like, talked about it, and, like, now you guys all know about it.
Yeah.
But as long as we're not, like, flaunting it and flashing, like, hey, everyone, look at this thing we're doing. It's like, I don't think we're going to get cease and desist.
Yeah,
assisted.
it's we have a good record of our projects that we've covered not getting cease and desist. So
Yeah,
we have a history of them crumbling apart.
yeah, that's true. But
things could change.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I mean, it's one of those things that like our channel is big enough to have a following to get people interested, but not so ginormous that it's like suddenly it's on the front page of the newspaper. You know what I mean? No, here's 2 questions that I did want to ask you here.
Sure thing.
Now, I think Mario Nova mentioned that this would be the case, but one question was, will it keep the physics of...
Yes.
Because this comment mentioned that it seemed a little more slippery. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but what can you say that's different regarding the physics and the way that Mario moves in the demo version?
Yeah, we actually plan on recreating the physics that was in this game.
Okay.
Like, for example, I believe Mario's side jump flip or whatever was a lot shorter. Although, according to some like people that tried it out, they didn't seem to like that much. So I don't know. We're actually going to keep that in.
Okay.
Maybe we'll balance it out between the final and the beta.
Okay.
Another couple of differences how is Mario's momentum when he's running. Like sometimes when you're like running a bit and you like let go of the control stick, like he'll just immediately stop in the beta version. But in in the final, like he'll slow down like how he should.
Yeah. Right.
And another thing I've noticed is when you jump and ground pound, Mario doesn't like stop, like he doesn't like freeze in midair. He sort of just like goes down.
Okay.
When you ground pound, he just goes down immediately. So when you tongue tied, but when you guys were putting when you guys put up the video earlier of like the beta footage, like the actual beta footage, in the end you saw that when Mario was doing the ground pound, he was still going down. He wasn't like he didn't freeze in midair.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we're implementing in the game.
They probably added that so they have like a couple frames of like, okay, that's what he's doing,
Yeah.
But it just wasn't quite there yet. Another question that I thought was interesting will it have, because it seems like in at least a lot of the early screenshots, and it could also be somewhat due to the fact that a lot of this is like older footage uploaded to YouTube in like 240p, but will it have that classic Turok fog everywhere? Because a lot of the early footage has like a thick layer of fog because they hadn't really optimized it yet.
I'm not even sure if the Shoshinkai demo had fog, but if it did, we'll add it. Yeah.
Okay.
The game can already handle fog in the final version, so it wouldn't be too difficult to put in. But that's if the beta had it. If not, then
Right. Yeah. Double check that fog. I want to only be able to see a foot in front of my face.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Can we donate to this project? Do you guys have a Patreon or anything like that?
No, we don't have a Patreon. I think at one point we discussed about like money, but I don't think we've like actually ever decided to like have people donate to us. I guess if people really want to like support like us, I guess like I could open up like a coffee page or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess that's something I'll talk about with like the rest of the team because we never really discussed about that.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we were just sort of doing this out of our own free time and interests of the beta.
Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's nice to have funding. I mean, sometimes things get complicated when there's funding. So it really depends on how you guys manage it. But I thought it was an interesting question. Because if you did have a donation page, maybe this person would like to throw you a buck or something.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so so I was going to mention to everybody as well that I put your Twitter handle in the description. So I noticed that you have a lot of this sort of content on Twitter in terms of like ROM hacks and mods and that kind of stuff. So that's a great source for everybody that's listening right now, both to learn about some other content as well, but also kind of keep track of this one.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm sorry. Yeah, this definitely is projects that I'm working on. Like there's a whole bunch of others. Like I guess one of the more notable other projects that I'm doing is a port, I guess you could say, of Super Mario Sunshine in Super Mario 64, and we're collaborating with the user Keiza Manuar, who made Super Mario 64 Last Impact. He's helping us out, like with the programming and all this other cool stuff. Like I'm really excited to see that progressing further.
Right on. There's a comment from Game Over Jesse, who I've collaborated with in the past. You guys should definitely go check out his channel. He does a lot of like gaming news, but a lot of like Zelda content specifically. I know that a lot of our fans are super into Zelda, so this would be a really good cousin show to check out. All those fan theories and that kind of stuff. He says, if we can see the platform we need to jump to, there's not enough fog. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, Mario 64 from memory.
Yeah, another one says, will there be a Bubsy 3D beta?
Barf.
Hey, somebody probably will try, right?
Yeah, oh my god, I feel like Bubsy 3D is already a beta, you know what I mean? Like, it's already
Oh yeah,
so
it doesn't
terrible.
feel complete.
Could
so
somebody
polished.
possibly fix Superman 64?
Well, we did a
Didn't somebody
beta
try
quest.
doing that?
Well, kind of. Like, so Richie and I did a beta quest, actually one of our top viewed videos of Superman 64, and the whole thing was that the prototype leaked online, and the prototype wasn't great, but it was better in many ways compared to the regular one. So there was a lot less trivial, like, rings, like a lot more stuff that, like, would be like, okay, Superman would do this, right? So it wasn't great. It's not like the mechanics or how Superman moved was better, but it's like the story and the like missions were better. And I think in the final version, Warner Brothers, who owned all the properties and still does of like DC, were like, okay, Superman can't punch anybody. So they in the final version, they were like, okay, he gets sucked into a digital world. And then he's punching people in the digital world, so they're not real people. But in the which doesn't
It's the Matrix.
Yeah, so that doesn't affect gameplay, but it's just stupid, you know. And so like that plot element, from what I remember, doesn't exist in the prototype because he was just punching people. He was doing stuff Superman would do. He wasn't going through rings ad nauseum. Like he was just, you know. So as far as fixing Superman 64 goes, try playing the prototype. It doesn't fix it, but it is certainly on the way to being better. Yeah.
But superhero games are a tricky genre.
They're a tricky dicky, if you will. So I wanted to also shout out the other members of your crew here, but I don't know if I'll be able to pronounce them properly. So
sure, if you want me to help you out, I'll gladly help you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to mispronounce them, and why don't you pronounce them properly after me?
Okay.
So I have Mario Nova.
Yeah, sure.
I have
that's correct.
Nenshi.
Yep.
Kaze Emunar?
Kaze Emanuar.
Yeah. And then Pablo's Corner, of course, which is you. So why don't you say all of those in a way that doesn't botch it? And
actually, you kind of pronounced them kind of correctly.
Oh, that's...
Except for Kaze, which I already corrected you.
Yes, so there's, of course, Kaze there. Yes.
There you go.
There's a couple of other people.
Just can't read. Problem. Just can't read. I'm illiterate.
So there's a couple of other people which I'll also kind of like list.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's Robin. Let me see. Someone in my server called 26.5 So that's the name I know him by.
Wait, 26.5 is working on Chris Cube and Melon Speedrun's Zelda Alpha Project. Didn't he change his name like 10 times? It was like 27, 67, this and that. It was like 30 different versions, and then now he's 26.5. Yeah, I know him. I mean, I haven't talked to him.
Okay,
I'm familiar with his work.
And then there's Fan.
Okay.
Fan. And like a new person that just joined the development team. His name is Marshy Volt.
Marshy, I love that. That's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool guy.
Awesome.
And eventually we may have more people helping us out, but for now that's pretty much who's involved with the project. And I'm pretty proud of these guys because they do an amazing job with what they do.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you have a really solid and professional team there, and that just makes me really happy that you guys are moving along, and this so far looks really good.
Tony's just like looking at me like, I could work with a real team
instead of Richie.
Instead
of working with Richie, this guy over here,
and John,
John.
All the terrible Hard for Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to. Didn't you say that you're gonna murder me in the last podcast, Richie? You said you were gonna stab me. I think. Never happened.
No, that couldn't have been me.
Nah, let's play back the footage. Shelby, if you wouldn't mind, when you're editing this, play back that footage.
Let's just rewatch the footage where we talk about whether or not you have a beard for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, right. Oh my god. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this segment, and Pablo will let you go because Richie and I got to get to a bunch of other topics here that we have.
Yeah, no problem.
But I wanted to
thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, and it's so impressive that you're doing all this. You're so damn young, man. You're like 19 years old, and you make me feel so inadequate.
I'm 32, and I can only barely operate a computer.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like I feel like you're better than us in every way, for starters. And No, but seriously, congratulations on the progress so far. We're really looking forward to, being able to actually play this thing. And, once again, for everybody, please check out his Twitter, which is linked in the description below. It's Pablo's Corner, or just type in Pablo's Corner, and you should be able to find it. There's a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good, modding trinkets, if you will, and things. So
a lot of cool ROM hacks and mods and all that stuff. By the way, may I say one last thing?
Of course. I was just going to say, if you wanted to say one last thing, you go crazy.
All right. All I just want to say is shout-outs to Team Cornersoft. That's my ROM hacking group.
There you go.
Gotta put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You
guys want to know what that is? Just look it up on Google.
Any other thing that you want to say before we let you go?
No, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. But thank you guys for having me here, and if you guys ever want me back, I'm a DM away.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, we definitely enjoyed talking to you today, and this is actually, for those of you that aren't or that are watching, this is the first time we've actually spoken to Pablo. It's just been over Discord, so it's always nice when you talk to someone and they're like, "Well, this person's personable. This person's got a good podcast voice. They can carry a good conversation." So it's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So I'll let you go for now. I'm going to go ahead and mute you here, but I just wanted to thank you again for coming on. And
have a good one.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take care.
You too. Take care, guys. Bye.
All right. Got to make a couple of technical adjustments here, everybody. Just hold on. There we go. That was a good conversation.
Yeah.
That was a really good conversation. So, again, thank you to Pablo for jumping on. I'm just going to throw in this image here just so we have something in the corner there. Just Mario bending down.
Hey. Wow, that's actually kind of scandalous.
It is a little very rousing, if you will. Did you see any comments that you think that we should give Logjammer's key to?
Somebody suggested that I kind of look like I'm cosplaying Epic Josh back there.
Oh, I like that. Who said that?
That was Kay Burns, I believe. It was a while back. She had, or he had also suggested fixing Superman. Yep. #Logjam.
Okay, yeah. #Logjam if you want to be a part of that Logjam giveaway. So Kay Burns. Send us an email, hard4games@gmail.com. Prove to us that the person that's emailing us is you. I'm going to write down your name. How do you spell Burns? Is it V?
It's on the screen there.
Okay, I thought you had to scroll down. Sorry. All right, cool. Yeah, so just let us know, and we'll hook you up with a free Steam key to MegaCat Studios Logjammers. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Wow, that was a good long conversation, but
yes,
it's a good topic. So, PlayStation Classic, Richie. PlayStation Classic was announced, and fun fact, there were some patents, I guess, made by Nintendo, which for people thinking that the N64 Classic is coming as well. So we may get a N64 Classic versus PlayStation Classic.
Oh man,
coming up
all over again. My middle school life.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple details regarding the PlayStation Classic.
That's not a positive thing.
Yeah, that was not a good. Sorry, those weren't good years for you.
Maybe hold off on the N64 Classic, Nintendo.
Poor Richie.
Give us half a year.
Yeah, exactly. Let us cope with the PTSD. So it's gonna be 45% smaller than the original PlayStation 1. I have notes. So it's true, right? So it's gonna be early December release. I think they said December 3rd or something like that. $100 compared to the, I think it was $79.99 for the SNES Classic, NES Classic. So a little bit more expensive. Mm-hmm. It's gonna come with 20 games, a few of which have been revealed, most of which have not been. We'll get to that in a second. It's gonna have a virtual open button, which makes me wonder if that's the only way to switch games. I'm not sure. And it's going to have no DualShock on the controller, which makes me think that it'll be earlier PlayStation titles, perhaps ones that don't emphasize 3D exploration as much. For example, with your Crash Bandicoot, you had 3D movement, but it was kind of restricted to a 2D plane.
It was very on rails.
Yeah, it was not very on rails 3D. So I'm thinking you're going to get a little bit more content like that compared to free roaming stuff that would feature the DualShock. Would be nice to have the DualShock as an option, but whatever.
I probably would have preferred that, but
yeah. So the titles that have been revealed so far are Final Fantasy VII, Tekken 3, Ridge Racer Type 4, Wild Arms, and Jumping Flash. And I had made a list of a couple games that I think should be on it. But before we jump into that, Richie, what were your initial impressions when you heard that this was a thing?
I mean, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, because I say this every time something like this comes out, but I have a machine in my house that will play PlayStation games for me. It's called my computer. Or
your PS3, or,
Right, but I feel like there's been a lot more skepticism from, like, gaming websites about the project compared to, like, the SNES, the NES Classic. I don't know if it's just because, like, by using the name Classic, Sony just comes off as, like, hey, me too, me too. Yeah. We've got old games, too.
Yeah. I don't know.
But still, for the people who like the collectible type of classic system, I think is an obvious need.
Yeah, I think that's just it. Like, for example, most people, like, I think like yourself, you're like, okay, I can just play these games. Like, I can just play them on my computer. I can play them on my PS3 or whatever.
My PSX that still works, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. So there are a lot of options.
Although probably the discs are totally busted and unusable.
That was like the first generation, really, where a lot of kids got discs and didn't know how to take care of them. So you got a lot of used discs that are just like scratched to hell, which is unfortunate. But yeah, there are collector pieces. The NES Classic I wasn't so concerned about. Because I wasn't an NES kid. I mean, I played the NES as a kid, but the Super Nintendo was where I sort of blossomed as a gamer. But what really sold it for me was having the, like, final build of Star Fox 2. That's the reason why I bought it. And other than that, I bring it out at parties because it's like, all right, instead of having like a bunch of different cartridges and this and that, and my SCART cable going to my OSSC, going to my, it's just, here's an HDMI hookup, boom, bing, bang, boom, retro games, everyone can play. Right. So for the PlayStation, I'm kind of somewhere in between the NES and the SNES. Like, I care, but I don't care a whole lot. Depends on the games, I think. If there are games that I really want that maybe are super expensive otherwise, I might go for it. But the $100 price tag makes me a little bit concerned.
And I also feel like it doesn't fill that role as like a party system because there just wasn't as much on the PlayStation, in my opinion, that was like super quality multiplayer. It wasn't like the N64 where you had Mario Kart and GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Twisted Metal.
Let's get into games that we think should be on it. I think that, again, it's an FF7, Tekken 3, Ridge Racer Type 4, Wild Arms, and Jumping Flash all sound like solid additions, although I've never played Wild Arms or Jumping Flash. So I'm not super familiar with them, but I played the other ones. And
I've never even heard of Jumping Flash.
Yeah,
before
actually,
this thing was announced.
I'd heard of Wild Arms.
Yep, me too. Never played it back then. Maybe this will be my in.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe you could just download it. Like I said. So a couple of things I think that they should have. One, people have been so starved for Mega Man Legends over the last however many years, and this goes back to the free roaming thing that probably would need the DualShock. I think I can't remember, but Mega Man Legends or Mega Man Legends 2 or both, I think would. Because that's such a good, the Mega Man fans, especially Legends, feel so burnt and tricked by the cancellation of Mega Man Legends 3 that I think that they would want to go back and purchase this for the sake of playing that. I think that would be a surefire hit for the PlayStation Classic. I think it would actually be a system seller in that particular case. Or even just having some of the PlayStation Mega Man 2D games, I think would be a lot of fun. Jet Moto, I think you got to have your Jet Moto 2, Crash Bandicoot, although it was remade recently, like the HD version, so I don't know if there's as much of a demand anymore to go back. Twisted Metal 2, I think is surefire. Like, you got to have Twisted Metal 2 on there because that's your party game right there. That's like
basically the only.
Yeah.
Well, Tekken's a decent party game.
Yeah. I mean, Jet Moto is also multiplayer. I think you need a Spyro game on there. There were, I think, 3 of them on the PlayStation. They were all solid games. Tomb Raider, obviously, Tomb Raider wasn't
iconic. Yeah. If you don't put a Tomb Raider on there, you've really dropped the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And then the PlayStation was such a golden era for RPGs that I really think that you got to have some RPGs on there. And there are a couple that I was thinking about. Lunar, I'm about to play. I think that'd be a good option. Chrono Cross. There's Suikoden. There's Final Fantasy 9.
Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, there's Final Fantasy Tactics would be a great one because that has a huge following. You know. I mean,
but they should put on the hard version, the modded hard version, as opposed to the original game.
Oh my!
And actually, Victor Hale asks if we think Master Quest will get ported to the N64 Classic, and I think no, because Nintendo is super square. But I feel like it'd be a really good idea.
I think so too. I think Master Quest is the best we could hope for in terms of Zelda on official hardware, other than the other Master Quest versions that have been out there, but on like N64 type stuff. It's
Lucknut XBL mentioned Silent Hill.
Yeah,
and I kind of agree about his skepticism with Konami, because I mean Metal Gear Solid would be another thing that should probably be on that thing, but it won't be.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 should be on there. I mean, those were games that
Parappa the Rapper.
Parappa the Rapper.
Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah.
Sony.
Yeah, that's
this is for your lives here.
Because those other games like Tomb Raider, there's an unhappy child in the background. But
he heard that Sony might not be considering putting some games on the PlayStation Classic, and he's upset.
He's upset. Who can blame him? But yeah, so I think that there's some games like Resident Evil where it's like, okay, when you think about them, you think PlayStation. Yes, they were ported to other systems, but you originally think PlayStation. But then there's also stuff like Parappa the Rapper that was, I think, just exclusive to the PlayStation. Like, that felt very sort of like edgy PlayStation, like silly, like fun, like that's kind of what the PlayStation was. And I feel like that's the kind of game that you got to have on there.
Right.
Because that screams PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Final Fantasy VII screams PlayStation, right? Let's see what else we have. Legacy of Kain is another one that I've actually seen pop up in various lists.
There are just so many great games that were on the PlayStation. With only 20 games being included, there's going to be some heartbreak.
I feel, how much did the SNES Classic have? I feel like it was more than that.
I think it was probably in that same realm, but I don't know. I don't have one myself.
I have one over here. What does it say? Hang on, I'm gonna look.
I can count like 5 or 6 on there.
All right. Let's see here. I guess I just have to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I'll just sit here and stare at the camera and keep everybody entertained.
Okay, so it's 20. So it is 20. So they're keeping the exact same model, but 21 Star Fox 2. So they've actually had just one more. So not a significant amount more, but just one more.
What I really wish, though, I wish they would release the SNES PSX Classic.
Yes.
The SNES PlayStation Classic.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a legal mess of any form. So yeah, let us know what games you think should be on the PlayStation 1 Classic, like Crying Toddler Simulator, for example, which you might hear in the background.
Unfortunately, on this one, we won't be able to comp you a PlayStation Classic. We don't have the hookups for that.
No, but we will be able to comp you those log jammers. Again, we still have 2 Steam keys to give away today, and the best comment, hashtag log jammers, in the comment section here, we'll be giving them away. We already gave away one to...
I kind of like this comment by Ryan Landis. If it doesn't smell like cigarette smoke, it's not a PS1.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Ryan Landis, would you like a Steam key? Because that's a good comment. Let us know in the comment section if you want a Steam key. We'll reserve one for you. That could
log
be
jammers.
What did I say?
No, I was just reminding him that it's for log jammers if he was a late arrival.
What was the name again?
Ryan Landis.
Ryan.
He's probably already left because we're boring. But...
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if he responds. If not, we'll keep it for somebody else. All right.
So do we think we've killed the PS Classic here. Should we move on to the...
I think so. So there was a Patreon question from Melon Speedruns, who is on
Okay, Ryan Landis says yes, he wants the key.
All right, Ryan Landis, here's the deal. Email us at hardforgames@gmail.com. Prove that you are who you say you are, because we don't want some other, hey, I'm Ryan Landis, screenshot or whatever of your Gmail or your username for YouTube or whatever you need to do. And we'll send you that key. So again, thank you for the awesome comment. We have one more Steam key to go, so keep those awesome comments coming. And so yeah, we had a Patreon question from Melon Speedruns. He's an honorary Patreon member on our Discord, and we have a Patreon-only Discord, but he's done so much for the channel. We're like, come on in, and people love having him because he's in all these mod projects, right? So they can like ask him questions, and he suddenly it's like this information's become available to them. So he asks, what makes good DLC?
And it's really tricky, because I feel like it has to feel like it belongs at least in the same universe as the base game. But I also feel like it needs to bring something new. Yeah. Like one of the things that always kind of bothers me a little bit about DLC is how it gets kind of shoved into the main storyline, and sometimes it introduces stuff that doesn't quite jive with it. But a lot of the DLC that I've really loved lately, like I feel like The Witcher 3 did a really good job. I mean, I think The Witcher 3 did a really great job with everything, but the DLC was just, it had complete stories that stood on their own, but developed the game, allowed you to have a little bit of a different gameplay experience, and that's the type of thing I like in DLC, and the price has to be right too.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously you have a lot of DLC that's like, oh, buy this new coat, which obviously I don't think that makes for good DLC. I think that it has to have a good value. Gameplay, quality, price. I think that, I was trying to word it, and I kind of created a sentence, if you will, is what I like to call it. It says...
we never have sentences on this show.
So I wrote, it needs to add to a complete game, not complete a half-released game.
Exactly.
So it's like, if you have a game that you feel like is already full, like, so for example, my wife and I played the hell out of Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. And we played the hell out of it, and it was great. And we played it, and then the DLC tracks came out, and we're like, this is even better, right? Or BioShock 2. I'm gonna have to check on my kid in a second, because he's like screaming bloody murder. He normally doesn't scream like he's gonna check on my wife here, make sure she's okay. But like BioShock 2 had a completely new campaign, Minerva's Den, and a lot of other games have this, but Minerva's Den was its own separate thing in the world of BioShock, but in its own areas, and it felt like a completely fleshed out game, but it was just a 5-hour campaign, and the story was better than BioShock 2.
I was going to say, some people would argue that completed a half-made game.
Well, I actually really liked BioShock 2. I think the story wasn't as novel, because it's like you get BioShock 1, and it's like a lot of the fear and like, oh my god, and like what's happening isn't there anymore, because it's like you've already learned about the world. But I think the fighting and gameplay mechanics were actually better in BioShock 2. But then you add the better story. I mean, some could argue that with Minerva's Den. But
I mean, at the same time, if you kind of screwed the pooch with a game, it can be a decent way to kind of try and salvage a train wreck if you didn't really hit your mark the first time around and you gave it a solid effort. I'll sometimes forgive DLC like that kind of fixes a broken game if it's really good.
Yeah. I'm going to take a 1-minute intermission here, just find out what the heck is going on with my son.
Okay.
He's just...
I'm timing Tony. We're all timing Tony.
I might pee as well, I'm mad. I don't know, so it might be 1.5 minutes.
I actually really like this idea of a Rocket League remake on a Nintendo 64 Classic. That would be pretty sweet. It has to expand the world enough to warrant the price. That's pretty much where we've been. Yeah, I kind of agree with Game Over Jesse here, thinking that the base game of Ocarina of Time would need a little bit of change for an expansion to work, because it just... I don't know, I feel like Ocarina of Time did everything Ocarina of Time could do. I am a pharmacist. Where are you? it's not that bad. We did get fucking old. Oh, pardon my language. I probably shouldn't be doing that on a live show, but yeah, it's kind of scary going back to some of the old videos and seeing how awkward and even more awkward we were, I guess. Oh man, Washington would be cool. What? Xenoblade 2. Everybody says good things about Xenoblade 2's DLC, but I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. What made the Xenoblade 2 DLC so good? I may have to look. The Concord keys, yes. We're having a little bit of a memory session here, Tones.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Talking about the old videos.
Oh.
And how different we looked.
Well, that's what happens when 10 years goes by, you know. So just a little update. My son, we had guests over last night. Rich is one of them. And we, you can confirm this story. We had guests over, and my son normally goes to bed at 8, but he decided that since he knew people were here, he didn't want to go to bed until 2 a.m. So his sleep schedule's so messed up. He needs to go to bed like right now. But he's like, but I'm used to going to bed at 2 a.m. now. So I'm not going to do that. So he is giving my wife a very hard time. So I apologize. I had to step out here for a second.
He just needs a beer.
You may hear him in the background. No, he's not going to have one. So don't be calling no CPS. Yeah, I apologize for the sound. Normally he's in bed by now, but it is what it is. This is what happens when you're a parent, and that's how it is. And you can't do anything about it. So we're gonna roll with it. Let's see here. Okay, so I think we wrapped it up with the good DLC. So let's see here. Oh, we have 2 more topics here. Did you want to do this one next?
Yeah, so it might be known to everybody that TellTale Games closed its doors for good. Well, actually, I believe they're saying that they're going to keep operations going until they finish the Walking Dead.
More. Yeah.
But it's pretty much end game for them. But just the way that it came about was so shady.
Yeah, it was a situation where they didn't give any sort of warning. In fact, they gave a lot of their employees 30 minutes to exit the building. They were even having their HR hire up to a week prior to the firing, so they must have known something was going on. They must have, the higher-ups must have known, but they never communicated with HR to be stop hiring new people. So, people were, getting on board, not accepting other job offers, traveling across the country to work there, uprooting their lives to work at this amazing TellTale Games, and then they're like, get out. You have 30 minutes. Get all your stuff and go. Otherwise, probably they had security or whatever, I don't know. But point is that, they're a story of a game developer that expanded very quickly and had very poor management, is my understanding.
Right, and I've kind of felt like they had to be on their way down the drain, just because I've followed them for a while. I haven't really played their games that much because they expanded so fast that they built up a catalog before I could really keep up with it. Yeah. And I just sort of lost track of them, but I would always check out the reviews of their stuff because I like the old LucasArts adventure games. I like a good point and click game. I like a game with some story, and I feel like TellTale Games was one of the few game companies still doing that, but it was pretty obvious that the general reception of them has kind of been fading. I've noticed their reviews getting generally less quality. Yeah. And there's been a lot of complaints about the game engine in particular, which I can't really speak to because I didn't play it, but I feel like the graphical style looks exactly the same now as it did when the company started off. Yeah. And that's part of why I just feel like they sort of stagnated. They didn't have the right management situation, and everything just...
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I was watching Pat the NES Punk has a podcast, the CU podcast, standing for Completely Unnecessary Podcast, and he had brought up a point that... it's either him or Ian, his co-host, I believe, have brought up a point that point-and-click adventures it's a kind of niche genre. You know what I mean? And it's like you can only saturate that market so much. So it's like they blew up and then they kept throwing these games out. And one of their points that I thought was really apt was that there just wasn't, I don't think there was a market eventually for like so many point-and-click adventures so quickly. You know, and I thought that was a really, I think it was their podcast. My brain doesn't work. But I think it was a really intelligent point to make, which totally agree with.
And I just sort of wonder what if this is going to be sort of the final nail in the coffin for people attempting sort of episodic gaming experiences. Because
maybe, I don't know.
In other genres, pretty much the only people that ever really tried that were Valve with Half-Life, and that sort of just
Half-Life 3
fell off the Half-Life 2 had maybe like 2 episodes, and then they decided to go to, or I can't remember, it was probably 3 or 4, but then they decided to go to Half-Life 3 and they never did. But I don't know, I'm always interested in the idea of episodic games because especially with like RPGs and things like that, like, I feel like the gameplay hasn't changed that much in, like, 20 years, and I kind of would like somebody to just do an episodic game where they really dig into a world and sort of explore it, you know?
Yeah.
As opposed to most games just, you know, you get a new world every time and you explore the whole thing in the one game, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Like, it'd be sort of a refreshing change, but
I feel like that was part of why they had so many games at once, because they really only had a few different games, but they were all episodic and they were kind of staggered in releases, so it kind of felt like there was more than there was.
I'm just looking at the comments here as well. Game Over Jesse says it reminds me of the Death of the Toys to Life genre. So like the Skylanders and like Amiibo. Like Amiibo is still a lot of people go for, but like there's the Skylander series and like Disney Infinity where it's like you scan it. And
right, I remember some of those.
Yeah. And then so it's like you just kind of you just push and push and push and push and until like it kind of blows up, you know. Yeah, it seems like everyone's kind of on the same page here. I mean, they're just kind of like...
Yeah,
kind of like it just blew up on itself.
I think that's all there is to say about that.
Yeah. No, don't forget we have only one more topic here, and we still have one Steam key to give away. So that means that we are giving away a Steam key to Logjammers by Mega Cat Studios. They are the ones that did Coffee Crisis, which we reviewed maybe like a year ago. You should definitely check out the review. It's not Zelda, but it's still pretty fun. So check it out, and you know, our next favorite comment of yours. Hashtag Logjammers will get the key. We've already given out 2 of the 3.
Now, I feel like we're pretty well prepared for this next conversation because Rocket League has been coming up like every 5 seconds in the chat here.
Okay,
so what we're talking about as our final point tonight, Sony has finally decided that they're going to do crossplay. Hallelujah.
Yeah, so they're sort of in a beta testing phase with Fortnite, and that was kind of the whole thing, is that like Switch players could play it with Xbox One players, and it's like, where's PlayStation? And a lot of what they were saying initially was that, well, why would you want to do that when PlayStation is the premier experience for Fortnite? You know, so it's like, it's just kind of like a BS-y sort of excuse, and there's so many kids playing the Fortnite. Not as many kids that, you know, more boys bought the GameCube than kids play Fortnite, obviously. There's a lot of boys bought the GameCube. Nope. We'll not contest that topic.
I'm going to have to contest that.
Fortnite 64. Yeah, so, you know, but everyone has different systems. So, like, obviously, if you're going to do a consumer-friendly decision, you know, the consumer-friendly decision would be not to be like, well, we have... you know, the premier, you know, there is no competition. You know, I've worked at companies like that before. I won't say which, but where they were like, you know, I would bring up, hey, you know, this, I don't want to describe what it was, but this place is doing a similar thing and it's more accessible and it's cheaper. And then the place that I was working at would be like, no, we have no competition. What we do is premier.
It's also one of those things where I feel like the public opinion has pretty much always preferred Microsoft's online offerings to PlayStation.
I think so, yeah.
Well, pretty much only Nintendo's.
They prefer Nintendo's. They've always preferred Nintendo's. Yeah, so I think that Sony finally jumped on board, and originally they were saying that they had said stuff like, oh, well, there's technical reasons why we can't, and then they flipped a switch by accident and it turned on. And then they turned it off, and they're like, yeah, there's technical reasons. It's not possible to do. It's like, what do you mean? Like, you accidentally flipped a switch and it turned on. Like, obviously there's not technical
there's a technical reason. Our CEO doesn't like the idea.
So the recent interviews have been more akin to, okay, like there were technical things, but also there was a big policy change at Sony Interactive. Actually, here's the quote here. It says, following a comprehensive evaluation process, SIE, which stands for Sony Interactive Toddler Screaming Entertainment, has identified a path toward supporting cross-platform features for select third-party content. We recognize that PS4 players have been eagerly awaiting an update, and we appreciate the community's continued patience as we have navigated through this issue to find a solution. Sony adds that this has been a major policy change for SIE, and they also said there'll be other titles moving forward, and they'll have more details to share. But basically, it sounds more like a bunch of decision makers had to align, really, more than anything. They had to rework a couple departments. They had to, which are big things to do in a large company, so I understand that, but don't give us a BS answer to start off with, like, oh, well, we're the premier place to be, oh, well, it's technically impossible. It's like, come on. If Nintendo can figure it out.
Right.
Nintendo can figure it out. Like an online feature, if Nintendo could figure out an online feature that Sony can't, there's a problem. Okay, Nintendo didn't even know the internet was a thing until last year. Okay, and you're telling me that they have crossplay and you don't? I mean, come on,
Right.
I don't know, Richie. Did you have even anything to add to this?
I don't have,
ridiculous.
I don't have much more to add. I'm happy that they're finally doing it. I hope it will be compatible with Rocket League 64, because I'm not buying an N64 Classic and not playing against everybody possible in the Rocket League.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of boys in that league. Let's go ahead and jump into some questions here. Josh A says, have you asked your kid where the con keys are tonight? Keep the tradition alive. That's a pretty good one. Sony was a bit shy. I like the Fortnite 64 one. I thought that was funny.
I do too.
Sony is going to experiment like in college.
Oh, yeah. Experiment with an Xbox.
Yeah, William is actually one of our Patreon supporters.
Very nice.
I think I'm partial for the Steam giveaway to give to Fortnite 64. I kind of like that.
I think that's a winner.
All right, so the Analog Man, we have chosen your comment, Fortnite 64, to be the final winner for the Logjammers by Megacat Studios.
That's very efficient.
Steam key giveaway. So let us know if this is something that you're interested in. Otherwise, we'll give it to somebody else. And let us know in the comments here. And once you do, basically the process is you'll email us, hard4games@gmail.com. Again, hard4games@gmail.com. Let us know that you are who you say you are with your username, and we'll send you the key.
I am a little bit disappointed. Just
why?
Because I didn't get a key.
Well, I actually have 4. You can have 1.
I really just want to get log jammed is all I want. Oh, looks like Analog Man is interested in the in the item.
Yeah, no problem. Just email us, hard4games@gmail.com. Let us know you are who you say you are, or prove to us you are who you say you are, and we'll go ahead and email you the key, courtesy of Megacat Studios. Yeah, they're actually good guys. I enjoy working with them. Just a shameless plug for them, obviously. They're pretty small, tight-knit dev team. They're good guys. It's funny because multiple members of their team emailed me about this, and I'm just like, guys, coordinate.
You got a log jam going on.
You got a log jam going on. I need to respond and say that. So yeah, congratulations, and yeah, we got some really good comments here. So I think it was a very productive.
We actually had content this week. That's good.
Did we not have content the other week?
Just your beard.
Yeah, it was just only talking about my beard. Only talking about my beard. I want to be log jammed so hard. I'd choose that one, but we already have our 3 key giveaways here. Hey guys, those asking for autographs.
You can get them if you're a Patreon.
Yes, you got. Oh, that's true. Yep. Yeah, on Patreon we do at certain tiers we do like an autographed cartridge. We also do like a 3D printed logo of various sizes depending on the depending on the level of patronage.
Maybe you need a little of a demonstration on the
this is the bigger
logo. This is one of the larger logos.
Yeah, so 3D printed by David Perfect and Perazzo. We have a Patreon-only Discord chat. We periodically do like blooper videos and stuff on there. But really, the benefit for you guys is that like we have our own little community within a community, and we just chat it up. We have fun. We joke around. We post stuff on there that we don't post on social media, so you get a little extra insight into the show. It's just sort of all in good fun silliness, really, more than anything. But there are the physical rewards for you as well, if that's something that you're interested in.
We're all about the physical rewards at Hard for Games.
Oh. Wink-a-dinky. Wink-a-dinky. Was that all of our
I wasn't winking. Who was winking?
I was winking. I like how we're not talking to anyone, but we still have these not earplugs, these headphones in.
I took mine out.
Yeah, I probably should too. Just wrap these around here. Don't really need them anymore. Yeah, so I think that was all the points. I did my shameless Patreon pitch. But hey, guys, we really do appreciate you all watching our podcast here. It is a fledgling, younger podcast, and we appreciate all the the viewership, the comments, all that good stuff. Make sure to, if you're new to the channel, click subscribe, click the notification button, because as you know, the YouTube system is totally broken. And if you don't click the notification button, basically it's useless to even click subscribe. More or less. John would give you a more vindictive explanation of that, but
where the hell is John? What's his excuse?
He's at a wedding tonight.
That's bad excuse.
Yeah. All the weddings he goes to are like camping weddings.
He watches videos during your videos. Why can't he stream with us during the wedding? Quick
story before we go here. Basically, we on the Donkey Kong competition cartridge video, which if you haven't seen, you definitely should. It's like a $5,000 cart. It was a Donkey Kong game that was slightly modified that was utilized in multiple competitions, like in the early mid-90s. Probably mid-90s, because I think Donkey Kong Country was 95. So it basically were me and Corey Snese, who's a newer part of the show over the last year or so. Great guy. We're doing our intro, and John's just listening to like the DK rap, which is the one in Donkey Kong 64, but it was like auto-tuned and modified to go along with Bohemian Rhapsody. So he's just listening to that, and like I'm trying to get through the take. Like today, we're like the kids crying. It's like, but you can't really help that,
Well, you can't really help John.
Yeah, well, that's true. But it's like, here's a grown man, and he's just like listening. And we're like, what are you doing? He's like, oh well, I had it on the lowest volume. It's like, John, bro, like me and Corey are laughing. Like we're not mad, but we're just laughing because it's like, why? And why do you even have this on? He's like, well, it's the acoustics in the room. Everything's an echo. And I'm like, it's not the acoustics in the room. You are listening to a video during our take. And he's like, oh well, the acoustics in the room. You don't understand what it's like to have a room like this. It's like the acoustic, the echoes. And I'm like, no, it's because you're watching a video while we're recording sound, and you're watching the video with the sound. And we're just, after that point in time, we were just so as our editor called it, Shelby, you guys were really punchy. Like we were just like super giddy the entire time, because we're just like, it started off the night on a ridiculous note, and it just went downhill from there. But it was a lot of fun to shoot that episode despite the silliness. So let's see if there's any more fun comments we should respond to.
One day I too will experience a woman. I don't know that I ever will.
Oh. Yeah, I hope your girlfriend doesn't hear you say that. I can vouch for those badass rewards. I've been rewarded thoroughly. We're talking about the Patreon rewards. Someone had a message redacted. We didn't do that. It must have been YouTube cut them out for saying something.
I think it's because of the Rocket League stuff.
Oh, okay.
Probably some copyright.
Maybe they tried to post like an image or something. Who knows? Okay, guys. Well, that's it for the podcast, our live stream today. Again, thank you so much for watching. Richie, anything that you'd like to say?
Well, he wants a live cover of the Hard for Games theme. I don't know that I can I can do the whole thing, but I can give you a, they're hardcore games.
Hell yeah, that was good. That was good. I like, because especially since your throat was all warmed up with all the beer. It was very helpful. We've been drinking a lot this weekend, as a matter of fact. Not so much today, but yesterday was, we had a big night. Big night.
I kept it all down, though. I'm proud of myself.
No, me too. But there's a lot of log jamming at the end of the night, if you know what I mean.
But yeah, thank you guys all for coming. I hope you'll see us here again.
Yeah, sing "Dreams Ain't Easy." Oh man, that's an old reference, right? That dreams ain't easy, but I'm pushing myself to do something. Dreams ain't easy. That was probably my favorite song.
I think so too.
It was excellent.
It was the best.
He's referencing an old F-Zero DD video we did. Anyways, listen guys, thank you again. Just artificially extending that watch time, and we'll see you all later. Gonna go ahead and press stop streaming. See you guys next time.